actually don't have a first-person experience with adoption. Why did you get interested in this subject matter?
Yes, I have no relation to adoption whatsoever. I became interested in doing this film because my very good friend, Heather Leffler, who is actually here tonight as well, she's an amazing girl who speaks excellent Chinese, and she was teaching Chinese to all these little girls at the China Institute, and she was telling me about some of her students, and a lot of them were adopted from China, and they were about 5 to 7 years old. And when she told me that, I just immediately became intrigued by what it was like for them to be growing up Chinese in America. So I was really interested just from a cultural perspective, what their life must be like. So that was like in '99, and now, 10 years later, I finally was able to figure out a story to tell. But I mean, I didn't know how to approach the story at the beginning. Luckily, the Families with Children from China organization in New York and in California were very open to me. A lot of the families, I interviewed a lot of the families, spoke to a lot of them about their different reasons for adopting and why they adopted, why they're choosing China. And from those, interviews, I figured out that I really wanted to tell this story from the child's perspective, and the only way to do that was to find a family who was going to go and adopt an older child. And so then I again asked the Families with Children from China organization if there are any families who would be, if I could just interview them just to get some ideas, and that's how I met the Sadowskis.
And was it from the very beginning that you decided to just focus on one family's experience?
No, I actually have a lot of amazing, beautiful footage shot by this amazing DP, Maurice Alberti, and Ben Bloodwell, who's also in the audience tonight. We went to Portland and we shot another family who have a 16-year-old adopted child. She was also adopted at 8. And so I was thinking maybe telling their stories parallel, here we have an 8-year-old who's just adopted, and look, we have another child who's 16 now, 8 years later, but, in the editing room, it just didn't all make it in.
She's looking for the Academy
It's gonna be a day today. Ask her why she looks so sad.
妈妈，
Is this really torture?
妈妈要我问你，为什么你那么辛苦啊？这个是真的很辛苦吗？学英文那么辛苦呢？
In the film, we can tell that you acted as the translator for the family during the early days of their life together. It is very uncommon to see a documentary filmmaker getting involved.
Well, when I, talked to the Sadowskis about the whole experience, and, I said, I'd really like to follow you to China, but, I have to be honest with you, when I'm going to be there, I'm going to want to be there all the time, I really want to make a fly-on-the-wall documentary, verite style, where I'm just there in the room. I didn't think at all about, translating. Even though I knew they weren't going to be able to speak to each other, it just didn't come across, while I was thinking about it. And then when we met Faith for the very first time at the adoption agency, when I first saw her, it was a very emotional experience. The whole room was just full of so many expecting parents and so many new babies. And then all of a sudden, here was Faith, and just seeing her face for the very first time was just really, I was just shocked, and I just felt so, wanted to do whatever I could to help her, feel better in the situation that she was in. And the only way I felt I could do that was by, jumping in and translating at moments when there wasn't a translator around for Donna and Faith.
Ice cream.
Ice cream. Pizza.
Come on, Faith. Sit up.
我想玩了。
What's it called? I just told you. What is this?
哎呀，我好
Bagel.
一个，我好辛苦了，我不。
Sit up, please.
In the film, Donna, you were just completely rock solid strong, but we know that this is a very emotional and personal experience. How did you decide to let your experience be filmed?
It was a very difficult decision for Jeff and I. We went back and forth quite a bit about whether or not we wanted to have a camera and how Faith would deal with having a camera on her just being newly adopted. And ultimately we decided that if one person saw this film and said, you know what, I could do that. I could adopt an older child and welcome an older child into my home. Then for me, it's worth it. That was my key. That was what I wanted to get out there, that here are these beautiful children that they just need somebody to love them. They want to be part of a family. We had not even intended on adopting again. When Dara came home, I was like, we're done. We're a family, we're done. And I happened to be on one of my adoption lists, and there was a little girl who I saw her photograph, and I said, oh, she had a different special need that I didn't really know anything about, and I wanted to find out more about it. So I clicked on the link that brought me to the agency where she was listed with, and I never did find out what her special need was about because Faith's photo was right next to hers, and the moment I saw her, it was all over. There was something about Faith. There was something in Faith's eyes. She just, the photo that was there, it was, you know what, I don't care if you adopt me or not, I'm a survivor. And that is my daughter. She's a strong, outgoing, wonderful little girl. And I just fell in love. And I showed Jeff. He was like, oh, we're not doing this again. And I showed her photo to Jeff, and guess what? The ball started rolling immediately after that.
Mm. And in the end of the film, there's like a slightly difficult conversation with the counselor about cultural identity. Is it something you still think a lot about?
Absolutely, absolutely. We know that when she's with us, it's one thing, but when she gets out there, she's Asian, and she's going to face things every single day, and people are going to maybe not be so nice to her, or they may bring up things that she's not comfortable with. We want to make sure that she's ready for that. With my boys, if somebody was bullying them or was saying something that wasn't appropriate or nice, I would basically tell them to walk away from it, just ignore it. But I didn't feel that that's the proper way for Faith or Dara to deal with something like that, because I don't want them internalizing anything. If somebody goes up to her and makes fun of, her being Chinese or the way she looks, I don't want her internalizing that and saying, well, I'm just going to walk away, and that's who I am.
Learning Chinese, or are you interested in going to China to visit?
Definitely.
Yeah? You're learning Chinese right now?
Yeah.
I personally felt that it was more important for them to maintain their Chinese culture. I want them to learn Mandarin. I want them to be able to go back to China when they want to, and I want them to feel comfortable like they're a part of that culture as well. So for us personally, that was the decision that we made. I can teach them about being Jewish, but I can't alone teach them about being Chinese. I can't teach them the language. I need her to teach me the language one day.
Yeah, right.
I think I can see myself in Faith a lot. When I was her age, I did not want to go to Chinese school. I did not want to be speaking Chinese, and I just wanted to be like everyone else in my school. So I definitely can empathize with what she's going through right now and trying to figure it all out. Seeing yourself now, watching this film, and seeing yourself speak Chinese, do you understand yourself when you see yourself?
Kind of. Yeah.
Or do you read the subtitles?
Oh, great. I read the subtitle. Well, I want to be an actress.
You already are. Yes.
Sadowski.
Where do you live?
I live in here, in America, and I'm born in China. I know, surprised, right?